I'll be brief. A lot was presented by Beck in similar framing of this, and this is using a lot of the expertise that was contributed by other colleagues and other institutions. So I'm not particularly a motors or a transformer expert, but wanted to share some of the activities that we're doing under U4E. So I'll start on transformers, then go to motors, to switch it around a bit. So on transformers, as Beck was saying, transformers are throughout the grid, but we don't really see them. Typically, there's about 7 from generation to use electricity, and each of those are having loss. Maybe it's only a small percent, but still, there's it's being used 24 hours a day, and also these have very long lifetimes. Typically around 25 years. So typically, on a global level, it allows for savings around 5% of global electricity. And the other point is the stock would nearly double as there's increased electricity use and extending the grid. And on the graphic, you can see how there's different transformers throughout the process from generation to use. And all this material is within a policy guide that we developed now about 3 years ago. And that's available on our website if you'd like more information, just for reference. On the types of transformers, so this incorporates large transformers to step up or step down voltage from transformers over long distances, medium power, and so stepping voltage is down from sub-transmission systems to primary distribution. And then medium voltage, so step down to voltage and distribution units, and then finally low voltage distribution. So those are all incorporated within the guide as well. You see up top a few examples of what those look like if you're not familiar with it. Skip that one. So on why leapfrog to energy efficient transformers. So as Beck said as well, there's a large opportunity there for savings potential. And it's very attractive considering the total cost of ownership. In some markets, utilities are mandated to procure based on the total cost of ownership. So it could be a practice that is considered within your country. And then the significant risk of inaction. That's for every year that there's a lacking of policies, that the products that do enter the market will be there for an extended period of time. So that's why we're encouraging policies sooner rather than later. And then the savings opportunity, Beck already went through those things. And similar point, the map needs a bit updating, but there's policies to look at from other countries that could be of use when you do develop something in your country. But there's still, and as you see here, there's a lack of policies existing currently in ASEAN. So here you see a few examples of the MEPs that are currently in place from some large markets. So you see the efficiency levels at 50% load, similar to Beck's slide, and the KVA rating. And you see a rather alignment along around like 98 to like 99%. So there's good alignment of MEPs currently existing within these markets as well, with a few more outsiders in some markets. And that's for three-phase liquid cooled transformers. And then for single-phase transformers, similar story there as well, with some of the markets regulating that. And within the guide, that we do have, just to highlight a few of the recommendations that we have provided. So this was developed with a wide range of different stakeholders, including countries, manufacturers, and NGOs, international organizations. So, and this is encapsulated within what we do across all the products is an integrated policy approach. So on the standards, regulations, aim to adopt NETs with the test method 6076. Supporting policies, having some information on the products. This can also be helpful for products containing environmentally hazardous substances. And then monitoring, verification, enforcement, similar to other products, testing for that they comply. And of course, with transformers, they are it's generally more costly to test. It's still important. Financial mechanisms. So we're working with some countries to implement financial mechanisms for the purchase of energy efficient transformers. The price for more efficient transformers is generally more expensive. For example, we're working in South Africa for a financial mechanism together with the utility there to put the cost over a longer period, so it's not such a burden done at the front. And then environmentally sound management. And the point there, maybe not so relevant. Within your country, something to consider is some older transformers have hazardous substances, including PCBs. But generally, I think after around like 1990, most don't include that. But still, generally something to consider as you do move forward to more efficient transformers. What I also wanted to highlight, as I did on the cooling side, is that we have a few upcoming publications. They're linked, and it's procurement specification and a model regulation for transformers. We've convened some of our partners to develop this, and it will be, we expect to be published about June this year. So that could be a tool that is used by your government on the regulatory side, or to provide to the utility for procurement specification. Okay, now on the motor side. So again, here's the guide that we have that's available for you. And then I'll just go through some highlights on it. So there is this slide that Beck showed. It's actually from the IEA. We published it in ours, but the source is the IEA. It's just showing that this motor are a large part of the consumption globally. And then, but what I also wanted to emphasize is that we often don't see motors, and probably the same for transformers. They're there, but we don't really think about them. At least most people don't. But they're there within industry. They're there to move elevators. They're there to pump water. So these are things that help our economies move on a daily basis, but are often overlooked compared to things more visible like lighting or cooling. But still very important to consider. That's why I'm encouraging you as the next step in Southeast Asia. Similar point as the transformers, so I'll just continue moving on. And as far as the recommendations, we have a few recommendations within our policy guide on the MEPS levels to at least start with IE2, but really encouraging IE3, as Beck said, and combining that with controls. So, and the point there is, as Beck went through, is markets are moving there and there are efficient products available. On that point, we have the same model regulation that will be available around June this year as well. So that'll be a tool. Supporting policies, so motors are obviously different than consumer products, so it's not a typical label, but a nameplate is normally on it with the different specifications of the product. So there you can see the efficiency of the motor as well. Monitoring, verification, enforcement. As I said before, it's testing of the product to make sure that it does comply. Financial mechanisms. I'll add to this with an example on the next slides, but basically also accelerating the take-back or the replacement of motors. Because motors, like transformers, stay in the market, and if there's only relying on the policy side, it would take very long. Environmental sound management. We of course encourage to look at that as well. Less of a concern on the motor side than on other products. So I just want to provide one example of a product or of a project that we're working on. So outside the region, but it's in Turkey. So this is together. It's supported by the Global Environment Facility, and we're doing it together with UNDP. So the point there is replacement of existing inefficient motors. We're focusing on small and medium enterprises. And maintaining new efficient motors penetration into the markets. So that includes the local industry, so providing capacities for local industry, manufacture efficient motors, but also on the import, because in Turkey they have both at this point. So it's both an import and also a local industry. But what it includes is the regulatory side, like I mentioned, that they update their maps, capacity building for local industry to promote more efficient products, and upgrading the test laboratory in the country and strengthening the monitoring verification enforcement. But the point I want to highlight a bit is on the one-stop financial support mechanism. So the point here, as I mentioned, is motors are in the market, and like transformers, they last for a long period. So what we're working on there is to accelerate that, so that instead of the motors staying for a longer period, that they are returned and replaced with more efficient motors. So we're working together with local financial institutions to set up a financial facility for this. Last point, knowledge management and monitoring evaluation, so just more evaluating the project as well. So it's a potential approach to follow. It's funded by the Global Environment Facility, and of course you have, within your country, opportunities to look into this funding source, but also other funding sources as well. So we'd be happy to discuss that with you as well. Okay, so that's primarily it, and look forward to the discussion. Thank you.